So welcome everybody. Thank you very much for being here. My name is Ilaria Todde. I am the Advocacy and Research Dykerector at the ELC, the EuroCentralAsian Lesbian Community. We are here thanks to ELMA, the European LGBTI Media Association, that we are very thankful to. And I also want to thank here my friends and colleagues that have joined us today. We have Malin Björk, Gwendoline Delbos-Corfield, Fanni Rebró, and Sihame Haddioui. So we are here, as you know, because ELC is organizing the 3rd European Lesbian Conference in Budapest between the 29th of September and the 1st of October. And we are organizing a Dyke March in the street of Budapest on the 1st of October. Just few words of presentation about ELC. ELC is a network of, is a European network of lesbian, bisexual, trans women, non-binary people. We've been active since 2016, and since then we have been doing 2 conferences, one in Vienna 2017 and the second one in Kyiv, Ukraine in 2019. And when we decided to have a conference in Budapest, it was last year, we decided to go there, to go to Hungary, because we were seeing that the Orban regime was using the pandemic as an excuse to attack, bash against the LGBTI community. We were seeing legislation making transition impossible for transgender people. We were seeing propaganda law similar to the one that are approved, for example, in Russia. And we were seeing a book, this one, the book is called Fairy Tale for Everyone, which is published by our friend from Labrisz Lesbian Association, one of the oldest lesbian organizations in Europe, and it was censored because of LGBTI context. But since then, since our decision last year, the context, as we all know, has changed dramatically. The situation has worsened. And we have seen in the past year narratives about pure race, about women being too educated, about LGBT propaganda, narratives that in a European country are extremely worrying, especially considering that we have literally the war at our doorsteps. And we see that this narrative is spreading in other countries. We see, for example, in Serbia, it's a news of literally this week, the Europride has been cancelled. The president of Serbia thinks he can cancel a pride. Of course he can't. But the fact that he makes these declarations is extremely worrying. And we think that this situation might spread to Hungary and to the rest of Europe. In the past, our conferences have been attacked. So we know that the signs are there also this time. And that's why it's very important for us that the press, the international press, is aware of this and keeps an eye on what will happen in Budapest in the next, between the 29th of September and the 1st of October. Our conference are an empowering moment for us, are a moment of celebration of our lives, of our achievements, of our power. It's a moment for us to denounce the discrimination we face, but also to celebrate our existences. And that's why we are very happy to go to Hungary to support our sisters and colleagues that are facing this authoritarian regime, and to support also lesbian from Ukraine, the refugee that we have been supporting for the past 7 months. But we also want to invite the international media to this conference. We want, and we ask the international media to keep an eye on us, and we ask the international media to support us in making sure that minorities everywhere can exist and express themselves without fear for their safety and their existence. So that will be my just few words about what is happening, and I will now gladly give the floor to Malin Björk, which is a member of parliament and the vice chair of the LGBTI intergroup in the European Parliament.
Thank you very much, and I will be short just to say that ELC for us is a very important actor in the intersections of feminist struggles and LGBTQI struggles. And I think your work since 2017 has shown that in so many ways. So very important topics will be raised. We will be able to celebrate lesbians and political lesbian activism and projects. So I look forward to that as a lesbian myself also, to be with you in Budapest. And just to say very shortly about the overall challenges that you mentioned. We have seen how they are trying to cancel Europride in Belgrade. We see how extreme right and right-wing conservatives are attacking LGBTI rights and lesbian rights and women's rights in a quite blunt way in the European Parliament and in certain member states. So it's ever more important that we ally together and that we resist it, that we stand up for human rights, democracy, and stand up for everyone's safety and rights. And to do that, I think, as you raised, the international support, the support of the European Parliament, the support of other governments is extremely important. Because what we want to do in Budapest is, of course, to have a safe and cheerful and rebellious gathering where we can advance human rights agendas and democracy. So, and I think that will be possible only if we have the international support that we try to show here and gather today. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Malin. And I now give the floor to Gwendoline Delbos-Corfield, which is also a member of the European Parliament and the rapporteur on Hungary violation of Article 7 of the Treaty of the European Union.
Yes, well, thank you to you to invite me, because I really think that it is important that I also I'm here because indeed I represent the Parliament. I'm the rapporteur, so I'm just not talking on my voice, but I'm talking on the voice of the Parliament. And the Parliament has very, very often in the last years and very firmly said again how concerned it is about the situation in Hungary, on all the attacks on rule of law and dismantling of liberties, but and more specifically on the question of the minorities and LGBTI rights. So I'm speaking here on the behalf of the entire Parliament. As a rapporteur, we will be having a resolution voted with a majority very clearly in this September in Strasbourg that points out again all of this. So we've got a mandate to say that we can support all of those that are fighting in Hungary. I think that, of course, we all have indeed the parallel made with Serbia. In the letter the entire LGBT group sent to the government of Serbia, they recall a certain number of texts, and this text of the Council of Europe, not indeed the European Council, but the Council of Europe, saying that, you know, it is the duty of a government also to protect and give security to these expressions of freedom and the necessity we have to have expression of the rights of LGBTI people. We need it in our societies, and we need the governments to protect it. So Hungary is not a place today where, of course, you feel insecurity when you know what the leaderships of in this country say about LGBTI people. So this is a huge problem. I wanted also to recall that when we did the official mission of the Parliament in Hungary, we were all called crazy women, going from far left, if you can say so, Malin Björk, to the person who is a Christian Democrat from Luxembourg, because in the eyes of the Hungarian government today, there is a refusal of any diversity, there is a refusal of any specificity. They all want us to be white Christians, heterosexual, very conservative, and they want to give the world this image. And Malin was particularly attacked of all the members of this mission because of who she was and not because of the ideas she was defending. What's the purpose of that? It's indeed to impose to everyone in Hungary one vision of the world, one speech about how the world should be. There's black and white, and there's no any way of being diverse in this world. It's very dangerous for European Union in general. We still are lacking enough action from the Commission. The Commission didn't act enough on the infamous anti-LGBTI law, which says that a number of content is not possible for minors under 18. They didn't act enough on this attack against this book, where it was asked to the Commission to act, specifically in the name of free expression and competition, that you should be able to publish this book and sell it in Hungary. So we still need a lot of work coming from the Commission. We need work from the Council in the framework of the Article 7 procedure. And sadly, because of the war, but also because of all these awful things that Orban likes to say, because he knows that will have create polemics. LGBTI issues have been a bit under the radar these last months, so I think that it is an important moment, your conference at the end of September, and we need all to support it very much.
Thank you very much. And I will now give the floor to Fanni Rebró, which is the communication officer for Labrisz Lesbian Association, and she's representing here also the other co-organizer of the conference, which is Kulit, the other lesbian organization in Hungary. So, Fanni, please.
Thank you very much. So the two Hungarian co-organizers of the conference are Klit and the Labrisz Lesbian Association. Labrisz is represented by me today. Labrisz Lesbian Association was founded in 1999 in order to raise public attention to discrimination against sexual minority women, advocate for their interests, and dissolve prejudices against them. Labrisz aims to strengthen the self-acceptance and visibility of lesbian, bisexual, and transgender women, providing safe and supportive spaces for them and to support women's and the feminist grassroots community works. We seek to facilitate the discovery, the cultivation, and the promotion of Hungarian lesbian and feminist culture. To reach our aims, we organize community and cultural events, festivals, publish books, make films, run a history archive, and we have an education program for secondary schools, and teachers and other school professionals. Labrisz published a controversial book, but popular still, children's story anthology called Fairy Tale for Everyone. In Hungary is Meseország Mindenkié in 2020. Now translated this book into 10 European languages. Labrisz is not only fights for equal rights for lesbian, bisexual, and transgender women, but also speaks up for other oppressed minority groups. The previously mentioned book, Fairy Tale for Everyone, features transcriptions of well-known fairy tales, sometimes in archaic and sometimes in modern settings, with heroes who are marginalized by today's Hungarian social norms. The volume includes stories that celebrate the diversity of the world. The diversity of the world, and the volume, yes, and the stereotype, and show what life is like for people belonging in minorities. The anthology includes lesbian Cinderella, a three-eared rabbit, a dragon-slaying waitress, and a Roma little Panna, and also child heroes from extremely poverty and abusive families and adopted children and other exciting characters. And here's the book. Labrisz believes that diversity is a natural part of society, which is why it supports events where it can be reflected. So, the ELC conference in autumn 2022 will be providing an excellent opportunity for individuals and communities from different countries to exchange ideas thanks to rich program made up with panel discussions, workshop sessions, and to make new acquaintances and friendships through community programs. In addition to the discussion, the three NGOs will be organizing a Dyke March to make lesbian visible in the public space. ELC, Labrisz, and Klit condemn the resurgence of the far-right politics and anti-human rights narratives in Europe and around the world. In addition to calling for a boycott, we want to help raise the visibility of all efforts to spread positive messages about feminism and the LGBT community, especially where these efforts are led by lesbian groups. The aim of the 3 NGOs is to have as many countries as possible from all parts of Europe and Central Asia represented. And finally, with the central location of the event, we hope to attract a wide audience for different regions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Fanni. And last but not least, we have here also Sihame Haddioui, which is the councilwoman for culture and gender equality at the municipality of Schaerbeek here in Brussels. She's also the initiator of the movement Me Too Politique. And we really wanted to have her here because the fight that our friends are doing in Hungary and the fight that we are doing here in Belgium, they are all linked, and the roots of this oppression are all the same. So it was important for us to create this connection, and that's why Sihame, together with Malin, will be one of the panelists during our conference.
Thank you, Ilaria. I'm so happy to be with you. I will try to use my best accent, which is not going to be easy because what time is it? Yeah, okay. It's 11:30. Thank you for the invitation and for the opportunity to speak about, well, the Me Too politique, but not only. To make a connection, we talked, when was it, yesterday or the day before, about this connection, and it really appeared so obvious, so I'm going to try to restitute as much as I can. Well, my name is Sihame Haddioui. I'm how do you say, elderly woman in Schaerbeek. I'm in charge of gender equality, as it was said before. In May, May, I put it charges against my colleague, who is also an elderly man who is in charge of education in Schaerbeek, for the reason of sexual assault. So I'm really in the middle of it right now as I'm speaking to you, because it's still going on, and voilà. We organized with a lot of other victims and feminists and activists some actions, a manifestation, for example, during the municipal council. Municipal council, is it? Thank you, you're really nice. Yes, I had something in my mind, sorry. I'm really not used to do press conferences, but I had the opportunity, I don't know if we can say that, to explore all the structural discrimination, because we like to call ourselves a progressist country, but when it comes to the women bodies, there are still a lot, and it's really an euphemism of obstacle. I don't know how to say it. So voilà. When I have been asked to join the panel of this edition of ELC in Budapest, I was really happy because for 3 reasons that I wrote to not forget to support my sisters, as it was said before, but also because I realize that we don't have to travel that far to fight an enemy of the LGBT. We just have to stay in Europe and actually open our eyes. I was really shocked to discover everything that happened during the COVID, which I really realized. Actually, I know that it was going on before probably, but that's something really that I shocked me, and to see now that with all those Orban connection and stuff. So I'm really like, I'm coming, but keeping in my mind that we don't have the answer because we are in Belgium or France, or we are the city of light, of whatever. We have to question ourselves, because what I'm experiencing right now, with all those structural obstacles, I'm like, I'm going, but actually I have to learn about the practice that are taking part in Budapest and in all these places, but also with a lot of humility, and like I'm not the one who will give lessons or something, because I'm really not proud of how the government is dealing with all those women and in general gender policy. I don't know if it's really clear. So voilà. I will just say that I'm really happy, and what can I say? I can't wait to meet those crazy women that you were talking about. So voilà.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. I don't know if there are some questions here. If there are some questions, yes, please. There is the mic coming.
Thank you. Thank you. Esther Zalán from EU Observer. I have a few questions, so please bear with me. One is it was mentioned that there is concern over security. Could you please mention any specific threats that you might, or security concerns that you might have, and how are you preparing for it? Ilaria, you mentioned support for Ukrainian refugees, lesbians. Could you elaborate what's happening, and what do you plan for the conference in terms of helping refugees? To Fanni, the Hungarian anti-LGBT law has been adopted for a year now. Could you give me specific examples of how has it been used or abused over the last year? And one final question to the MEPs. Could you please comment on the lack of EPP support for the statement yesterday on the Euro Pride? Thank you.
I can maybe start with the two first questions. Concerning the security concerns, our experience is that in situation where, let's say, the political discourse is very poisoned by messages who are very who are expressed by, for example, Orban, so the prime minister of the country, there is a risk that these things are then picked up by local, far-right, ultra-conservative activists who think that it's their job to, put these things right. Of course, we are well aware of this. Our friends from Hungary knows this much better than us, and we're working very closely with them, with the organization of also of the Budapest Pride. So we are really taking this into account. We will have security present. We are carefully considering all of this, but from our previous experience, especially in Kyiv, we know that the best way, not the best, but one of the ways in which we can ensure this event to be peaceful and to be a celebration and not something that puts people in danger is if there is international attention over it. If there is international attention, there is an interest from the country, from the government, to ensure that these things do not happen. That's why it's so important that we have as much as possible coverage from the press, from international organization, the fact that we have here the MEPs, and as Gwendoline mentioned, the support of the European Parliament is fundamental for us, because we know that this thing will make the situation a bit less dangerous. That's the first question. About the support for Ukraine refugee, ELC in the past 7 months has organized a safe house, a number of safe houses at the border with Poland. We are in touch with the Ukraine organization Insight NGO, which is as a shelter in Lviv, and we provide safe house for lesbians, bisexual, trans women who want to cross the border. We help them with relocation, meaning that we find for them place to stay in all Europe. We have a network of more than 500 housing option given by our community, and we also help with them with any kind of needs in terms of, for example, buying the flights, travel, and we organize all of them. So we go pick them up at the border, we house them for a few days, but then we also follow their steps in Europe. So that's what we are doing right now. We've been doing it for the past 7 months. There will be, of course, a focus on this in Budapest. We will have a whole panel concerning the situation in Ukraine. We will have Olena Shevchenko, the chair of the Insight, one of the activists at the forefront of the response and the support for the LGBTI community in the world. And we are also happy to have some of the refugees that we have been helping and supporting coming to also speak about their experiences. And we will have also a workshop dedicated to this. So it's really an important topic for us. I think that's it, and maybe Fanni can answer the third question.
Yes, just one moment, adding to safetiness. So I think maybe we can imagine that there will be some, let's say, verbal abuse, or maybe some rude sentences or words, but I think it will be safe, so nobody will be attacked. So I think, yes, it's gonna be safe, and we will do our best. And as I remember, you asked something about the Hungarian laws, yeah? Okay, so what should I add here? I think about the child protection law in schools and commercials and in the prime TV shows, the LGBT topics is not allowed anymore. So, and in that case, the Labrisz has a school program, but in that case, it's not allowed them to teach in schools, for example. And yes, and about the storybook and the legislation, storybook have to be wrapped in some kind of packaging in Hungary. So it's not easy to sell them, because if I go into the bookshop, I cannot open and check it because it has to be wrapped. So this is what I would add.
Then maybe about I'm a member of the Bureau of the LGBTI Intergroup, and we organized this letter from yesterday. We had a very, very good response, so we were happy about that. 145 signatures in less than 24 hours. However, as you noted, we have no support from the EPP group president, Manfred Weber, and we have no support from the EP president, Roberta Metsola. And I can just say that I think it's a shame. We have a Europride that is trying to be cancelled, where they're trying to cancel a Europride in 2022. That just shouldn't be happening. But when it happens, who steps up and who defends our right to exist and to demonstrate and to take place in Europe 2022? So I think they have their homework to do. Let's give them 24 hours to react to this and see if they can change their minds, because I think it's a shame. It's a shame, and the shame is on them. And I'm not impressed. Then just shortly about the security situation, just as Gwendoline said, when we were there in an official delegation from the Libe committee, and we were all, I don't know how you say that, we were hanged out in media before even arriving in Budapest. And they knew who we were when we walked in the taxi, and they said, I know who you are, Malin Björk. To be attacked just because you are a lesbian, we hadn't even started our work as a delegation. Of course, that gives a sign of what is happening in Hungary and in Budapest at this moment. And that's why it's important. I will be there, and I hope many of you will be there, and that there will be media attention, and that there will be, just enough participation so it becomes that political festive space that we want it to be. So thank you.
Yes, I just want to add that I think that when governments associate LGBTI people with pedophilia, it's a clear call to threats and hate. And we do, in theory, indeed hope that you will be safe and all this. But, it's what happened to the Japanese leader. It's what happens very often to people, or even Salman Rushdie. I mean, we know that when there are official calls to threat, then a lunatic at one moment will pick this. And when you are in a country where every day, in one way or another, there will be alluded to the fact that LGBTI people are not normal, that they can be dangerous for your children and all of this, I think that this creates an atmosphere that is far from being safe. I really think that today it's difficult to be an LGBTI person in a member of LGBTI community in Hungary. On the effect of the laws, I mean, it's no offense to say that the Hungarian society is a very self-centered society compared to others. We can often do the comparison with Poland, which doesn't mean that people are not fighting, that NGOs are not fighting very strongly and all of this, but it is in general. And what we see is that, in fact, there's been not particularly effects because booksellers have themselves stopped putting certain things in the windows. We know that, for example, there's a strong suspicion that big international magazines like Elle or Cosmopolitan or that sort of thing will not have the same cover, or will take out certain articles, or will have certain changes in Hungary. And we would need, in fact, somebody to study this, because indeed all of this for the moment is a bit empiric. But the day that you know that you could have a trial because in your books shop you have sold a book, and because it's so difficult to prevent less than 18 years old. I mean, a bookshop is open to less than 18 years old people. So if you have books that deal about just education of sexuality, or you know, or talking about a famous LGBTI person, well, that could be said that you tried to do propaganda of LGBTI ideas to young people. So you're not supposed to put these books easily to see. So what does it mean after a bit, when you get used to that years after days, and that everyone knows that these books will be on the shelves very high in the bookshop, and you have to come in and say precisely, I want a book about a very well-known. I mean, and it's. I think that even for us today, in the way that we live, it's difficult to imagine how many things are in fact concerned. I mean, how many famous people are LGBTI people? So that means so many books that you cannot, so many films that a film seller cannot show, and all of, have easily access and all this. So the dangers of the law are probably not yet easy to really encounter, but I think that they are already there, and we will need to be very serious about this in the next years, because we will see it more and more. Yeah, and I just wanted to say a last thing. She alluded to it, Malin, but it is very, very concerning. When you arrive in a country, you take a random taxi in the queue, you really don't think that you're taking a specific taxi. In this taxi, you speak in French. We were 3 MEPs, Isabelle Wissler-Lima from Luxembourg, so a Christian Democrat, Malin, Björk, and me. We speak in French. We were not even speaking of the mission of anything. We were speaking of the lives of our children and what school they were attending and all of this, and how do you learn English, that sort of thing. And then at the end, when you arrive in front of the hotel after 20 minutes, the taxi driver says, "Who are you?" And you say, well, we are people come. No, where do you come from? Well, we come from Brussels. And then he turns to Malin and he says, "You are Björk." And then he just shoves out your suitcases outside in a very violent way. I mean, you know, you can suspect from. I mean, people even told us, some NGOs that are become a bit paranoid, which is normal in Hungary today, have told us that this was probably planned from the beginning. It was not a random taxi. Others says, yes, it's just a random taxi, but he had seen a photo of Malin somewhere on social networks or newspapers, because the government made a big thing about her specifically. So, I mean, how frightening is that? When you arrive in a country and in a taxi somebody knows who you are and has a very bad image of you, and you never even presented yourself.
Just to say that this 10, I look forward then to, like, sometimes the best thing is to counteract that and to be to be what we want to be. And so this will exist in 10 languages soon, and one of them is Swedish. So I look forward to celebrate that, and also to read it to my children that I have, despite being a lesbian, and you know that will actually be just showing that we are there and that we exist, and we will take that space. Thanks.
Thanks so much, everyone. Are there any other questions?
Just two quick questions. It's Gareth from Elma. Fanny, you talked about the specific laws. I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about the impact, the personal impact on LGBT people in Hungary. And secondly, I was interested in the objectives or outcomes of the conference beyond visibility. Is putting pressure on the European Commission to take some action, is that one of the objectives of the conference?
Yes, after actions, there is always a reaction. So the Hungarian society has become very polarized, let's say, and because at the same time there is much more support for the LGBT people, and I would say a lot non-LGBT people are supporting the LGBT peoples because I think the people and the Hungarian society tries to, no, let's say they are became to feel that it's more about democracy and human right. So as an activist, it's not an easy thing in Hungary right now, but I can say that we do not have any support because we do.
Maybe to quickly answer about the objective, yes, of course. One of the reasons why we're going to Hungary is exactly because we need more action by the European Commission. I mean, it is very serious that there is a country in the EU that has this kind of law, that has this kind of narratives, that puts people in this kind of situation because, as everyone has mentioned already, being in a country with this kind of legislation has very serious impact on your sense of safety, on your life, and that's completely, I mean, should be unthinkable in the EU. It is not, and there are, rules for that. There is Article 7 of the Treaty of the European Union, and the Commission and the Council should start to listen also to the Parliament and to us, to the civil society, and really act on this because it's becoming more and more, I mean, it's becoming very, very, very serious that in Europe, in the EU, this is even possible. I think that's what I want to say. I don't know if anyone else wants to add on this point.
Yes, if more organizations join forces, I think we can put more pressure on the government. So, yes. Thank you.
So I think that's it. Thank you very, very much for everyone who was here. And thank you so much for the amazing speakers today that joined me and ELC. Thank you.